Hey, today I am walking you through a deadly opening trap, the Blackmar-Diemer Gambit Ryder Gambit variation, and it ends in a forced checkmate in just 9 moves. Now, this is a theoretical model line, not a competitive rated game, but every single idea here is completely real, completely dangerous, and something you can absolutely use in your own games starting today. Let's go through it step by step. Wait for it. So, from an opening theory perspective, the Blackmar-Diemer Gambit is one of the most aggressive setups white can choose against pawn to d5. All right, the core idea is simple but ruthless. White wants to sacrifice 1 or even 2 pawns in exchange for rapid development, open files, and attacking chances before black can organize a proper defense. Look, the Ryder Gambit, which is what we are looking at today, takes that aggression one step further. White does not just sacrifice pawns. White launches the queen into the attack on move 5, creating immediate threats that black has to deal with at the worst possible time. It is a sharp, tactical setup. And as you are about to see, if black gets too greedy and ignores king's safety, the punishment is swift and absolute. So, white starts with the d-pawn, staking a claim right in the heart of the board and immediately opening lines for the queenside pieces. Black responds symmetrically with d5, challenging for central control. Perfectly natural, perfectly correct. Now, watch this. And then white plays e4. This is the Blackmar-Diemer Gambit. White is voluntarily offering a pawn to accelerate development and crack open the position. The e-file becomes active. The position becomes sharp, and black has a decision to make immediately. Black accepts and takes on e4. And now white is a pawn down but has a clear plan to develop fast and attack. The knight comes to c3. Natural development, and it also puts immediate pressure on that pawn sitting on e4. Black defends the pawn with the knight to f6. Also natural, also developing. Let that sink in. Now white plays f3. A second pawn offered up. White is now saying take this too. I do not care. Because what white really wants is that f-file open for the kingside rook, full freedom for the pieces to flood into the position. So, black accepts again and takes on f3, and this is the full gambit accepted. Black is now 2 pawns up, but black's pieces are undeveloped. The king is stuck in the center, and white is about to move very fast. Move 5. White recaptures with the queen. Queen to f3. Now, watch this. This is the Ryder Gambit. Instead of recapturing with the g-pawn, which would be the quiet approach, white brings the queen out aggressively. She is eyeing the d5 square. She is putting pressure on f7. She is setting up future threats along the f-file. Now, look, objectively, engines will tell you this is not the absolute strongest move for white. The queen is out early and could become a target. But practically speaking, against an unprepared opponent, this line is absolutely venomous. The threats come fast and the traps are everywhere. All right. Black is 2 pawns up and goes for more. The queen comes out to d4, taking white's remaining central pawn and removing white's central presence entirely. From a pure material standpoint, black looks great. 2 extra pawns. Queen active, but the clock is ticking on black's king's safety. White develops the bishop to e3, developing with tempo because that bishop attacks the black queen directly. Black has to move the queen again. Wait for it. The queen retreats to b4, eyeing the b2 pawn, putting some pressure on white's queenside. But notice what is happening here. Black has moved the queen twice already in the opening. The rest of black's pieces, the knights, bishops, and rooks, have not moved at all. The king is still sitting on e8. This is a ticking time bomb. White castles queenside. Look at this. This move does everything at once. The king goes to safety. The rook lands on d1, staring straight down the open d-file, and white is now fully developed and ready to attack. Black is materially ahead, but structurally, positionally, and tactically, black is in serious danger. So, and this is where it happens. Black plays bishop to g4. At first glance, this looks incredible for black. The bishop pins white's queen against the king. White's queen is attacked. She seemingly has nowhere to run safely. Black thinks they are winning even more material. But hold on. But this move is the decisive mistake. Black has completely overlooked what white can do on c7. White ignores the queen entirely. The knight leaps to b5. Now, let that sink in. Read that again. White ignores a queen attack and plays a knight move instead. Why? Because the knight on b5 threatens checkmate on c7 on the very next move. The knight would land on c7. The black king on e8 has no escape square, and the rook on d1 controls the d-file. There is no way out. Black has to deal with this threat right now. But how? The only piece that can stop knight takes on c7 checkmate would need to control c7 or block the knight's path. In a panic or simply not seeing the mate, black captures the white queen with the bishop on f3. Wait for it. It is a queen for a bishop. Materially, it looks like black just won the exchange, but it does not matter. Incredible. White plays knight takes on c7. Checkmate, the knight lands, check on c7. The black king on e8 cannot move. Square d8 is controlled by white's rook on d1. Squares d7 and e7 are either blocked or covered, and the king has absolutely nowhere to go. 9 moves. Checkmate. So, what could black have done differently? Now, the real turning point was not move 7. It was actually the whole approach to the opening. After accepting the Ryder Gambit with the queen on f3, black should prioritize development over material. Rather than grabbing every pawn in sight and moving the queen repeatedly, black could return the material with something like an early e5 or e6 to consolidate. Get the pieces out. Castle quickly. Even on move 6, instead of the queen going to b4, black could have looked for ways to return a pawn and get the king to safety via kingside castling. Wait for it. And critically, on move 7, instead of bishop to g4, which allows the knight trap, black needed to recognize the danger on c7 and find a defensive move, like knight to a6, to control that key square and prevent the knight invasion. But that requires seeing the threat 2 moves ahead, which is exactly the kind of tactical awareness this trap is designed to punish the lack of. The finish is as clean as it gets. White's knight lands on c7. The black king is completely boxed in. The rook on d1 seals off the d-file, and there are no escape squares. This is what we call a smothered-style geometric mate. The king is trapped by its own pieces and the board edge, and the knight delivers the final blow. Black had no choice but to resign, or rather, there was simply no legal move available. Checkmate in 9 moves. White achieved something remarkable here. 2 pawns sacrificed, queen deployed aggressively, castled queenside, and executed a forced mate before black could organize any defense whatsoever. So what do we take away from this game? Now, let that sink in. First, material is meaningless if your king is unsafe. Black was 2 pawns up and capturing a queen on the final move and still got checkmated. Always ask yourself, is my king safe before grabbing material? Second, do not move the same piece twice in the opening unless you absolutely have to. Black moved the queen 3 times in the first 7 moves. That's 3 tempos handed to white for free. Third, always scan for knight threats. Knights are sneaky. They do not move in straight lines, they jump over pieces. They create forks and checkmates that are very easy to miss at a glance. Before you make a move, ask yourself, can their knight jump somewhere dangerous on the next move? Wait for it. Fourth, if you play the Blackmar-Diemer Gambit as white, the Ryder Gambit is a weapon worth knowing. It is not objectively perfect chess, but it creates immediate practical problems that can punish unprepared or overconfident opponents fast. And fifth, incredible, the fastest checkmates in chess almost always share one common theme. One side developed, one side did not. King safety and peace activity win games. Never forget it. Now, let that sink in. If you enjoyed this breakdown of one of chess's sharpest opening traps, make sure you subscribe for more tactical chess game analysis. There is plenty more where this came from.